With the massive rise of AI, there is a great debate that has been happening inside the brand strategy branding space, and that is whether or not AI can actually help you build your brand. It's a conversation that I think about quite often as a brand strategist for 9 years now, and I wanted to shed some light on whether or not I think AI can actually support you in building your brand, and if we use it, how do we use it in a way that doesn't lose our true essence?
This is the Authentic Brand Builders Podcast with Michelle Knight.
Hey, Authentic Brand Builder, it's good to be back with another solo episode, and we are talking about my favorite topic, branding. It's how it all started here at Brandmerry. I have been a brand strategist in the online space for 9 years this April, which is really hard to believe. I mean, that first year was really me figuring out what branding was, but I've been teaching it and helping entrepreneurs with it for over 8 years now. And the introduction of AI, along with a lot of things, really changed the game for us as entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I have seen popping up quite a bit lately are a lot of AI tools or AI specific programs that will help you build your brand in 24 hours, sometimes 3 days. And it really caught my attention, How are these programs actually working as someone who has her own branding program? You branded. Are we getting generic results? So I have been spending the last few months doing a ton of research on this topic, ultimately leading me to what I believe is happening right now. No, AI cannot replace the branding process, but AI can help you speed up that process a shit ton. And I'm really excited about this because as someone who is really into efficiency and sustainability, I'm all about saving time in a way that's going to pay off in the long term. When it comes to branding, we all know how fundamental and crucial the branding process is. And if you don't already know, I'll give you a little analogy. You wouldn't build a house without a solid foundation. And building your business, I'm using air quotes here, building your business without having a solid brand foundation is not setting you up for success. In fact, you're setting yourself up for a lot of trouble down the line. Maybe not right away. A lot of people will experience a burst, but some people don't. Some people realize that, I can't create content. I'm not getting my content seen. I'm not making any sales. My messaging isn't hitting. I'm not consistent because they haven't done the work at the branding level. The other thing with branding that is kind of my strategy that sets me apart from other people is that I really focus on the entrepreneur, the center of the brand. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who is creating the content. You are the one that's showing up and speaking about it. You are the one that is serving your clients, whether that's through a course, a membership, one-to-one, consulting, whatever it is that you're specifically doing. You are at the center of that hub. And through my years of entrepreneurship, working with a lot of different people and also being in this industry and seeing the shifts that have happened, I have noticed the entrepreneurs who have most likely burnt out or found themselves in a position where they do not like their business. And it's because they really skipped this fundamental groundwork. And so today I really want to talk about a few things, some myths around AI and branding. I want to share with you how I think AI can actually support you through this process. And the one thing that you absolutely cannot skip when it comes to branding. And if you find that you are at a crucial point where you are thinking of building a brand new brand, you are rebranding or doing some sort of refresh, or you find that your existing circumstances are not working for you, this episode is going to be very, very crucial and very, very important, okay? Like I said before, branding is fundamental, but the reality is branding often feels really overwhelming to so many people. And it did for me as well. If you know my story, I spent almost 8 months in the branding process before I was even making any money in my business. And that was 8 months that I absolutely wasted. I could have been bringing cash into my business, but I wasn't because I was really overwhelmed with the process. I was overthinking everything. And this is still true for so many entrepreneurs. I get messages from entrepreneurs every single week. I've been trying to build my brand for a year. I've been in the branding process. I worked with the designer and it didn't work out. Help me, help me, help me. Because it's so easy to overthink this part of the process. And I understand the introduction of AI in terms of speeding that up. But one of the things that's happening to counter this is that entrepreneurs are diving right into AI and AI prompts without first figuring out who the hell they are and what they actually want their brand to represent. This fundamental storytelling work, as I often talk about here at Brandmerry, is so crucial. And so finding this balance between being completely overwhelmed and just constantly answering questions in workbooks or trying to find answers on the internet with AI kind of stripping our authenticity, that's kind of the sweet spot that I have come to and that we're going to be diving into today. So let's first debunk some myths as it comes to using AI in the branding process, because most likely these are things that you've seen on the internet. I know I have. Or you have come to believe them yourself. So number one is that AI will replace the entire branding process, and this is absolutely not true. And I know that people are selling you this truth. They are telling you that you don't need to think about it, you don't need to do anything, you just need to plug in these prompts, and within a day you'll have your brand all flushed out. But the issue with this is very similar to looking outside yourself in the branding process. What I mean by this is what I have come to realize is crucial going through the branding process, especially those first few stages, is that we have to start inward. Again, we are the center of our brand. We are the ones showing up. We're the ones making the decisions for a really long time, long before you have a team or people to ultimately support you. It comes from you. But what a lot of entrepreneurs do, and what I also did, is that I started to look outside of myself for answers and inspiration. And what was this person doing? Oh, great, it worked for them. It probably worked for me. That is a great strategy when it comes to marketing. I'll be honest with you, because there are a million different ways to market your business. There are so many different intricacies and different things that you can try, that getting inspiration from someone else and then applying that strategy to your authenticity is something that absolutely works. But the only reason you know how to authentically make that marketing strategy work for you is because you understand your brand. Do you see how all of this is connected? And so when you start to look outside of yourself right out of the gate in the branding process, you lose that compass. You lose that authenticity. And the same goes with AI. When we start to rely on something else and we start to get inspiration from something else, we first aren't going inward, we're going outward. And that's where the disconnect often happens with brands. Again, I've had a lot of entrepreneurs who've come to me years in their business going, something feels off. I don't love my brand anymore. I'm completely burnt out. And I always take them back to this foundational stage. So while AI is an amazing tool, and we'll talk exactly how to use it in just a few minutes, it cannot replace the entire branding process. And you should probably run for the hills if you were being sold that strategy. Another myth or misconception, and honestly, I would argue maybe even an obstacle that a lot of people run into, is that AI can help them create their brand voice. AI is a tool that can help you extract your voice. It can also help you identify consistencies within your brand voice. And it can also help you take the information that you deem is your brand voice and apply it to your content moving forward. Have you ever used an AI tool? We'll use ChatGPT as an example here. And you have gone in and just very generically asked it to write something for you, write an email, make a social media post without any preliminary information. We all have. I know I did that first few weeks using ChatGPT. And the response that I got was just so generic. It didn't sound like me at all. Maybe there were some fun little things in there, but you could tell that I didn't write that. I could tell that I didn't write that, which means someone else can tell as well. This is the issue with AI. When you do not have the foundational information to feed it, you're going to get a response that sounds like everyone else. And I don't know about you, but when I think about branding, the whole point is to stand out and be different than everyone else on the internet, because a lot of us are doing the same thing. I'm a branding expert, and there are thousands of us, hundreds of thousands of us on the internet. What makes me different? It's how I present information. It's my voice. It's my personality. It's my storytelling. It's all of these things that I discovered at the branding phase. So what you first need to identify is, how do you show up in your everyday life? What is your personality like? What are some things that you like to say? What is language that you use? What are things you absolutely wouldn't use? And create a brand voice profile that you can then feed in to ChatGPT or another AI tool. This is one of the awesome additions that we've recently made to You Branded. I'll be sharing a little bit more with you as well in today's episode, but taking the questions that I have used for years to help entrepreneurs figure out their specific brand voice, and then being able to feed that information using a stylized prompt into ChatGPT to help create their brand voice profile, a list of do's and don'ts, and to influence their messaging that AI can also help them write when it has the proper information. And the final misconception that we just need to talk about right out of the gate is that the first time you use AI, everything will be perfect and it's instant results. And that is absolutely not true. We need to lose this expectation. It's just like anything. There has to be a bit of back and forth. The difference is that you're not going back and forth in your own mind. You actually get to go back and forth as if you were having a conversation with someone. And this has been incredibly helpful for me once I removed the expectation, because your girl has high expectations. Once I removed the expectation that I would be able to type something into AI right away and get exactly what I needed and be able to use that, I started to realize that AI really is just a phenomenal tool that helps me discover my authenticity even more. Think about it as fine-tuning the process. And this is where AI and branding work really complement each other, because so many people do the branding work by themselves, right? They're writing their brand hook statement, they're doing their customer profile, they're doing their market research, they're trying to figure out their messaging, they're picking out their colors and their fonts and all of these things. And just like with anything, you stare at it too long and you're like, does this even make sense? I don't even know. But when that information is presented back to you, you automatically will have a reaction. Do I like this? Is this great? What would I change about this? And that's where the fine tuning of the branding process begins. And this is something that I became really laser obsessed with when it came time to refine my branding course, You Branded, because this is where everyone gets hung up. Answering the questions from my experience actually is quite easy, because I've spent a lot of time designing these workbooks and putting the questions in a very specific order that so many of my clients will go through and complete the workbooks in a week, maybe less. But then it's the combining it, the fine-tuning it, the looking at it through a different lens that becomes the hard process, where we get caught up in the overthinking and the second guessing. And this is where AI really comes in to complement the branding process. So I wanted to share those 3 misconceptions with you because I think they're really important and they help us adjust our expectations on how AI can actually help us improve the branding process. And I'm going to share with you exactly how you can use it and specifically how we are now using it inside of my program, You Branded. So the smart way to use AI in the branding process is, number 1, to still do the work. You can't skip the work. And again, this kind of goes back to what we talked about before with getting perfect, easy answers right out of the gate with AI, or AI sounding super generic, right? It's the work that you have to do in the pre-stage or the branding process that is going to impact how AI can actually help you get the results. And so a lot of people try to skip that work. You can't skip the work. So what is the work? What are the very specific phases that you need to focus on with the work? Number 1 is your story. Now, this obviously is something that's very authentic to me here at Brandmerry. It's something I have been teaching for years. We call it the pre-work inside of You Branded, but it essentially is a group of questions that are going to help you understand who you are at your core. Think of them as journal prompts. Literally in the program, have an audio and I'm like, just sit down with a journal and answer these questions. Because this information is going to allow you to better understand the purpose behind creating your brand, certain moments in your story that have led you to where you are, the mission behind your brand, the type of impact you want to leave in the world, how you want to show up in the world, all of these different things that, as you can tell, really impact how you run your business as an entrepreneur. This crucial phase also plays a vital role in crafting your hook statement, in better creating your messaging. It plays a role in your brand voice, and it also will give you the preliminary work for your About Me page or your story page on your website. And that's one of the cool things that I have experimented with and have now offered inside of You Branded, is that you can take the questions that you are asked inside of the workbooks, and using the prompts that I've tested out and solidified, you can feed that information into AI and have it craft a About Me page that perfectly mirrors, yeah, I'm using the perfect word here, perfectly mirrors the work you've already done in your own words, in your own language, with your own experiences. And that is how you combine the two, and chef's kiss. So we talked about the pre-work, storytelling. The next is definitely your niche. And I don't want you to think about niche as like a tiny little box that you live in. I want you to think more about it as identifying your strengths and your expertise and how that plays a role in the problem you're going to solve for your ideal customer. This is the sweet spot with niching down. It's not like just picking an industry. It's really understanding how you specifically help solve that problem for your audience. This is work that you need to do because AI cannot tell you your strengths. They cannot tell you where your expertise lies. You need to pull that out of you. And again, with the right questions, you absolutely can do that super easily. The second phase, and again, this is all part of my signature branding process, the Build a Better Brand method, but the second phase is ideal customer work. Now, this is the sweet spot. This is where it's a combination of you doing the work and also tapping into the amazing tools using AI. And honestly, for me, when I started playing with all of these updates a few months ago, I was so adamant on making this work because this is where a lot of people get lost. They do the ideal customer work, the basic things. Who do you want to work with? What are their goals? What are their pain points? What are their desires? These different things that we all know to be true about market research. And you do that, and then you go, wait, what do I do with this information? How do I use this? And so this is a really great way to take that information that you deem true to you, your ideal customer, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's you deciding who you want to work with. Not the internet telling you who you want to work with. It's you deciding who you want to work with, who you're going to impact, the person you're feeling really called to support on your journey with your products and your services. And taking that information and then using AI to create a thorough profile as well as understanding the customer buying journey. And this is probably my favorite prompt, hands down, that we have inside of You Branded now, because customer journey and understanding the customer journey for your brand is the key to understanding marketing as a whole. It's something that I talk about in my marketing video. I will link it below on YouTube. You can also check it out on my YouTube channel where it talks about multi-channel marketing. This is the key to understanding which platforms to show up on and which type of content to create on those platforms to bring in your ideal customer at the different phases. So now, using this information that you've already established with your market research, you can now use AI to better streamline what your multi-channel marketing strategy looks like and the type of content that you create at each of those stages. So this whole integration for me is so powerful because I don't want to see entrepreneurs getting stuck in this process. And I also know that not everyone can hire someone to work one-on-one. And this is a way to get the best of all the worlds. Now, the third phase in doing the work is going to be the messaging work. But honestly, I think I've eliminated every sort of obstacle that could possibly stand in your way when it comes to messaging. And the only reason that I'm able to do this, and the only reason that you're able to combine the previous work is because you've done it. You can take what you've learned in the niching down module. You can take what you've learned in the ideal customer module, and using the proper frameworks, you can within minutes have what we call core brand messages designed for your brand. Now, core brand messages are essentially messages for your brand as a whole. I've been talking about these and teaching these for years. They're a way to center your messaging around the brand, not a specific product or service. But the good news is once you tap into that framework, you can then use that for specific products or services as well. This is where a lot of people get hung up in the branding process, and rightfully so, because it's when copywriting is first introduced. We all have to create content. We know this to be true. You're going to have to create copy throughout your business. You're going to have to write emails. You're going to have to write show notes. You're going to write a blog, whatever it is, you're going to have to write it. And this oftentimes for entrepreneurs is the first taste of that, and it can feel really overwhelming. But by doing this work, by using your own words to describe your strengths and the problem that you solve and your ideal customer, you can feed that into AI and you can have these already laid out for you. And again, you can then look at that and subjectively say, hey, that sounds like me, that doesn't sound like me, so on and so forth. Phase 3 also includes understanding your brand voice, because you obviously want to feed that into AI so that you can get things that sound like you. And I tested this out for a lot of my clients, fake clients, all kinds of different things. And I got to tell you, This is going to save entrepreneurs so much time. But again, the first step is that you do have to do that preliminary work. You do have to understand the type of brand you want to create, understanding your purpose, your mission, your story, taking that time to identify your strengths and your expertise and what you ultimately want to solve for your ideal customer and who you want to work with. And once you do that work, I promise you, the rest of the process can be so beautifully seamless. If you skip that foundational work, you're going to be building something that is most likely going to crumble. You have to have that solid foundation, that foundation for your beautiful house, your beautiful business that you are building online. I've kind of touched on this, but I want to continue the conversation about combining the takeaways. Again, this is where a lot of people get stuck. How do I take this information that I just crafted and turn it into a brand, Michelle? It's not always the easiest thing. That's why adding in this AI, which we're calling it actionable AI here at Brandmerry, taking the information that you yourself pulled out, right, your internal knowledge, and speeding up the process of taking action using AI tools. This can be really helpful when you are combining that information, like I mentioned before, but also trying to brainstorm different things. Now, this specifically makes me think of phase 4 of my process, which is designing your offer. When you are in the branding phase, you want to figure out what you are offering right then and there, because as soon as you're done with your brand, guess what? Your job is to sell. Your job is to make money. That's what you need to do. And so you can hit the ground running really fast if you do this at this level. And so when it comes to your offer, it can be really easy to get hung up in that process. This is when the analysis comes in to the industry and what other people are offering and pricing and all of these different things. And I also get really wrapped up and sometimes can lose who I am when I'm looking at other people's things. And so one of the strategies that I've learned to embrace is, rather than going onto Google and looking at other people doing what I'm doing and maybe going down a rabbit hole of information, instead I turn to AI with the proper prompts and with the proper information. Because remember, we already have those 3 phases done. So now I can say, here's what you know about me, okay? What are some ideas that I could start to brainstorm around a potential course, a membership, something that would solve this problem for my ideal customer? And the way that it allows me to feel my response and make a decision so much faster is incredible. One of the examples that I'll give to you is if I'm naming something. I have a very clear way that I name things. I have a formula that I use. It's something I share with you inside of You Branded. But again, that can be like an ongoing, like, oh, what about this? And what about this word? And I don't know about you, but I haven't memorized the dictionary. So I'm not sure of all the words in the English language. So by going in and using AI, I can specifically feed it all the information that I need about my brand, my voice, my messaging, all of that, and have it come up with like 10 or 15 different title ideas that I can then run through my brand filter to make a faster decision. That's one example. And as you can see, that's really helpful when it comes to copywriting and content. The other powerful way to use AI with the branding process is to give you a launching off point. We're probably overthinking 99% of the things that we do in our business, and that is because we don't always have someone to bounce ideas off of, someone who understands what we're doing, has all the information about our brand. Like, I can ask my husband questions, and he's so amazing and helpful, and he has a lot of brand information because he's been listening to me for 9 years. But I'm not going to sit there and read my ideal customer profile and read all of the niche worksheets and read all of my messaging to him to get an answer. And so a lot of what he's giving me is going to be super subjective to him and his experience, but he's not my ideal customer. So by using the AI tool mixed with my personal work that I've done, I can get things that are right on point. And it can give me a better starting place to, again, speed up this process. And I truly believe by using a powerful AI tool like ChatGPT and a branding process, specifically the Build a Better Brand method, which I've been sharing with you today, you could absolutely have your brand completely fleshed out and finalized in 2 weeks. And I'm also talking website copy, because this is one of the things that I'm probably most excited about adding, and one of the benefits that I see to this process is a lot of people will section off branding and website because they're both really big tasks that you have to undertake. And so you think, all right, I'm going to go through the branding process. That'll be done. Then I'll figure out how to put all of that together. And then I'll go in and I'll create the website. And I really think that by using AI, you can pull these together and have your copy and understand all of your design aesthetics and be ready to rock and roll in 2 weeks. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about like designing your own website from scratch. I'm talking like use a template, make your life easier, or even work with a designer. But now you already have the copy done. You understand the general aesthetic. You understand what colors you want to use, what fonts, all of those different things can be used, and we are integrating into uBranded. So think about answering the story pre-work and then being able to feed that into ChatGPT and say, help me write my About Me page. To take the offer module that we have crafted and to feed that in with our sales page template, which we also give you, and have your sales page ready to rock and roll. Think about then feeding that information in there and asking it to write a home page for you. And guess what? Plug in some photos, pull those colors and fonts from module 5 in the branding process, and you have yourself a brand ready to share with the world. And then you get to dive into the stuff that honestly is going to make you money. The branding process, again, serves as that foundation. It serves as that compass. It's always going to bring you back. It's going to be that filter that everything runs through. But you showing up in marketing is how you're going to make money. Just having your brand isn't enough. You have to have both of those. And if I can figure out a way, which I have, to speed up that process for you so you can get out there and you can start sharing your voice, your authentic voice, and your knowledge and your expertise with other people, then I've done my job. So that's why I'm super excited. Now, the last thing that I will touch on inside of this kind of giving you a starting place is definitely that aesthetics piece. You'll notice that I talk about aesthetics for like 0.5 seconds when it comes to branding because it's not that big of a deal. Stop making it such a big deal. If you follow this process, the Build a Better Brand method, then the aesthetic part is already easy. But with the integration of AI, we've made it even easier because you're saying how you want your audience to feel. And then ChatGPT or another AI tool can go pull all the information on the internet that says, oh, this color helps with this, or this color makes people feel this way. Or one of our approaches that we have for years taken with branding is to write what kind of colors you surround yourself with. I don't know if you've noticed, but here at Brandmerry, I'm a walking brand billboard. My walls are the same color. There's plants in my brand. I'm wearing orange and yellow most of the time. I mean, even right now, if you're watching this video, I am my brand colors. And so that was a really great way for me to naturally create content and kind of match my personal aesthetic. Now, I know that doesn't work for everyone. Some people are like, I only wear black, Michelle, but I really want my brand to have blue in it. That's where these tools really come into play. As you can see, using AI with the branding process in this way, it's not going to replace the process, but it's going to supercharge it. And it's going to supercharge you. It's going to give you so much momentum going into the content creation process, the website process. And inside of uBranded, we've even added prompts to help you come up with content based on the work that you've done. And then you can always come back to this master document that you'll have at the end of the process, feed that back into ChatGPT or something else, and continuously get these ideas that are true to you and your brand. As I've mentioned, we made a lot of really exciting updates to uBranded. I'm super jazzed. uBranded is now a 2-week brand accelerator, combining the Build a Better Brand method, which I've been teaching for 8 years, with actionable AI to help you build your authentic brand in as little as 2 weeks. And the new updates are live, and I'm so excited to share that with you. So I would love for you to go check it out. You can go to brandmerry.com/ubranded. That's YOUBRANDED, and take a look. If you are going through the branding process, just getting started with your business is the first thing you have to do. I repeat, this is the first thing you have to do before your website, before your email, before social media. Do this work. If you are going through a brand refresh, you don't feel like your brand's in alignment, or you're just looking to breathe a little bit more life, this is for you. Again, my goal is to help you build a better brand without sacrificing your time or authenticity. I don't want you to just have really generic prompts that are going to give you a generic brand and you're going to feel even more lost. I want you to understand the type of brand that you want to create and then know how to use these tools to make that brand alive, to give that brand the life that it freaking deserves so you can go out there and you can share it with the world. I hope this episode was really helpful in breaking down some of the misconceptions with AI, if you've been scared to use it, or if you have been thinking about going through the branding process and you don't want it to take a ton of time. I think we covered that to an extent, as well as giving you a glimpse at my brand process and how it all ties together. Again, You Branded has now been updated. I'm calling it 2.0 over here, and I'm so excited to share that with you. You can go to brandmerry.com/youbranded to check out the new updates and get signed up during this early promotional period. Again, You Branded has helped almost 800 clients by now, and I've used it in my one-on-one work and my own brand for years and years. It's not a new strategy, it's just getting elevated for our new way of running businesses and these amazing tools we have at our fingertips. Because why the F not? If it's gonna save me time and I'm gonna get stellar results, sign me up. Sign me up. I would love for you to go ahead and dive into the marketing video. It's right here. If you are ready to take that next step into marketing or to better understand what I mean by multi-channel marketing, I've got a video just for you. You can head to that video now. I will be back with another episode next week, my friends. Happy branding, and I'm so excited for you to check out the new updates inside of You Branded. Talk to you soon.